It is Friday of the hour of 10 o'clock on September 17th, 2021. I am Ron Ford, the chairman of the Jobs Committee. We are about to begin. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Davis? Iqbal?
Iqbal present.
Gopi? Lewis? Molina?
Molina present.
Wallace?
Wallace present.
Pirog?
Okay.
Shepro? And Ford.
Present. Thank you.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to get approval of the minutes from August 13th.
Iqbal moves.
Can I get a
Molina
second?
seconds.
Right. We got a first and a second. Roll call.
Iqbal?
Yes.
Gopi? Lewis? Molina?
Molina, yes.
Wallace?
Wallace, yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. I believe there's no public comments. So we're gonna move on to our Development Division. I don't see.
Good morning, Chairman Ford. This
Oh,
is
there you
Scott
go.
Berger.
Okay. How you doing? Good morning.
I'm very good, thank you. I believe my colleague Maria Gonzalez is with me today. Maria, I'd like to call on you to walk the board through the first of our two items. The first item involves our financial report. Maria?
Good morning, Scott. Yes, thank you. In your packet, you will see a new looking report for the WIOA grant. Our consultants recommended a new format in terms of the reporting these formula funds. What it does is highlights the various benchmarks that we are held accountable for when it comes to receiving these funds. As you recall, by June 30th of last program year, so June 30th, 2021, we were required to obligate 80% of the WIOA 20 grants. You will see in the top half the budget, so we had to obligate 80% of this $7.3 million by the end of June 30th. Now that we have crossed over into the second year of this two-year grant cycle, under the obligations section, you see it's now 100. So we are now adhered to spending the full grant by June 30th of 2022. What it shows is that based on what I report to the state, every month we do have in our expenditure plan expenses that will fully cover the carry-in that we brought in starting in July. The little second half of the obligations section shows you a percentage breakdown within each funding stream of how much of that reporting was for actual expenditures, for accruals within the month, and what we reported in obligations. So for the adult section, for example, 48% of what was reported was in actual expenditures. That's what we've actually spent through the reporting period of July 31st. 7% were accruals in that we had all of the invoices, they were in queue for payment, but they were paid in August or thereafter. And 45% of that is obligations. That's our future expenses that we have lined up. You will see this format coming through from here on out for both the WIOA 20 and then also the WIOA 21 grant. The bottom section of this report, you see the benchmark titled Direct Training. If you recall, we are required to meet 50% of our funds need to be spent for the direct training for adult and dislocated worker funds. You see it here split within each funding stream. However, the state looks at it as a combined percentage, and it's also combined for both grants. So whatever we spend with our 20 grant and our 21, they'll look at that collectively and they provide us the 1%. We were above again, the program team has continued to keep working hard to achieve above the 50% training benchmark. We were at 57.6. The work-based training section of there, that's another requirement that we are adhered to for our youth funds, where 20% of the youth funds have to be dedicated to work-based learning activities. And this is measured at the end of the 2-year grant cycle. So where we're at now is at 19%. So by June 30th of 2022, we have to make sure that that's at 20%. Where we look at each individual subrecipient very closely to make sure that individually they are working towards that percentage. And if we see that they're falling off, then between program and I, we reach out, there's communication so that they continue to meet the benchmark. The next report in your packet, which is on page 4, is for the trade grant. Now, program and fiscal have been working closely to ensure that we spend as much as possible, because it's already been determined that we will not fully spend this grant. This grant is based on participant activity, and there were 2 participants that did have to drop the program to pursue full-time employment. As a result, that's affecting, it's a domino effect on the fiscal side. We were just working through one of the accounts payable cycles, so my ITA specialist was reaching out to the various providers where we knew that there were trade participants so that they could send us the invoices so that we can get as much paid as possible before the end of the grant cycle, which ends September 30th. And the next report is the accounts payable reports that finance provides. Any questions?
Any questions for Maria?
I do. Maria, I'm sorry, could we see that report again, please? The trade grant, I noticed that there was, $170,000 left, that it's been still available, and that has to be spent in less than 3 weeks. So that money then will not be continued on to the next fiscal year. It has to be returned back to the state. Is that correct?
Yes and no. We do work on a reimbursement basis. So if we don't request the funds, in essence, what they do is they de-obligate it from us. They quote unquote take it away as an opportunity for us to spend it. So we do have one more AP cycle with a check date of October 12th, where we can still count expenses to September, if legitimately so, before we have to send out final reports to the state.
And why wasn't that filled to full capacity? You don't have to go into a lengthy explanation. Was it due to the pandemic? Was it due to because people were not working, lack of opportunity, lack of childcare? What do you think was the issue why that grant was not fulfilled?
Scott, would you be able to provide an answer?
Yes, I think I can. So the trade program is a very specific program that's aimed at folks that are impacted by a trade decision. So the Congress allocates funds for the trade program specifically to allow us to assist individuals that have lost their jobs as a result of a trade decision. This is usually involving an offshoring of jobs to a foreign country. So when a trade decision is made and it affects U.S. unemployment, we are authorized to reach out to those individuals and offer them assistance. They are not required to take that assistance. So oftentimes what you find with the trade program is that we are authorized to provide assistance to individuals who do not accept it. That's beyond our control. So in this case, what Maria is reporting to you is that we've been offered a line of credit, which we have not yet drawn, and which is probably going to be withdrawn from us for individuals that have not accepted the trade assistance that we've offered them. So that's beyond our control. And it's unfortunate, but it also could be an indicator that individuals have found employment on their own without the taxpayers' assistance. I hope that explains the situation.
It does. I'm just curious if you can put together a report for me of industries that have been offshored that were once here in Kane, if that's already available.
Yes,
so
that
we
is
can just
available.
review.
That is available, actually. So these funds are specifically available to employees who have lost their jobs at specific employers. I like to say this is the by invitation only program
Mhm.
because we are not allowed to market this program to the general public. It's only available to individuals who have been affected by a trade related decision. And I'd be happy to share with you a list of those companies.
Oh, thank you so much. That'd be great. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Good morning, Mark Davist here. I apologize for the tardiness. Apparently, I'm going to be visiting with Roger soon because I seem to have a bad home button on my tablet. But anyway, sorry, carry on. I'm here now.
Thank you, Davis. Any other questions or comments? All right, so we'll move on to our resolution authorizing an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement establishing the Kane, Kendall, and DeKalb County Workforce Development Area.
Iqbal
Thank you,
moves.
Chairman Ford.
Can I get a motion?
Yes, I did move. Iqbal
Okay.
I
moved.
think Iqbal moved. Davist will second.
All right,
Good morning, Chairman Ford. If you jump to page 44 of your packet, I'd like to call your attention to a resolution we have for you this morning. Thank you for the motion and the second. This is largely a housekeeping item. The resolution simply authorizes the execution of an amendment to our intergovernmental agreement regarding our workforce development program. The specific changes covered in the amendment involve the overall composition of our workforce board, as well as the staffing support that's provided by my office. I'm happy to answer any questions, but we are asking you to send this on to the executive committee for eventual adoption by the county board.
any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk, will you please call the roll?
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
thank you. Gopi, Lewis, Molina,
Molina, yes.
Wallace,
Wallace, yes.
Davis,
Davist, yes.
Ford.
Ford, yes.
That passes. Thank you.
All right. There's no comments right now from me as co-chair. Davis, do you have anything?
I almost spoke of MICGA, intergovernmental. I'm always somewhat heartened because it's just one more signal of cooperation and collaboration. I should have included that when we were still doing that resolution, but and I find that we engage in that kind of behavior here in Jobs Committee quite often, which is very encouraging. I think that's my positive comment for the day.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to our Jobs Committee list. We have a gentleman here, and I'll let Chris do the introduction from our Crystal House. I'm pretty excited about this. I have had the chance to several times appear at his establishment, and the work that is being done there is very outstanding and also creative. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to introduce Elias Akwo from the Crystal House of Aurora. He joins us today to talk just about some things that's going on with his business. I had the pleasure of touring his business and meeting with him and hearing about what he needs for his business. So I invited him here today with Ron's permission to just come speak to us about his business. So Elias, I'll pass the microphone over to you.
Good morning. We will actually state your name and your address as you, and the business name. Oh. They hear online.
My name is Elias Akwo, and my business is Crystal House. We're located at 59 South LaSalle Street in Aurora. Crystal House just moved to Kane County. We had our ribbon cutting actually December 6th of 19. The reason for this move is we needed to expand our business. As Chris said, we do a lot of our business is engraving, very unique, beautiful work that we do. Personalization of all forms of crystal, awards and gifts. Our biggest client is the US Navy. If you go to the Navy exchanges worldwide and you see their logos and insignias engraved on glassware, it's from us. That is the reason that we needed to expand and move into Aurora. When we moved, I had the opportunity to do some research and come in contact with the Kane County Workforce Development, because one of our biggest challenge has been human capital as a small business. So we approached the Kane County looking for some collaboration in the apprentice, because we wanted to bring in some apprentice also and fill up some of the employee needs that we'll need. So we were able to be approved. We got recruited. One of the young men who we recruited is now a very important part of our organization. I would like to talk a little bit about our approach in these programs and apprenticeship programs, and a little bit of the experience that we've encountered, that we still encounter with working with organizations like Workforce Development. As a small business, which I believe may be typical with a lot of small businesses, when we recruit or personally, when I recruit for the apprenticeship program, I recruit not only with the goal of providing a job, which is very important, but also to see how these young people that comes to us can develop into a career. I'll give you an example. The young man that we recruited, I recruited him as an engraver trainee. The work that we do with engraving is very graphic intensive. For him to have any opportunity to progress in this job, I personally had to send him to take courses at the College of DuPage, which wasn't covered by the program, but he needed that to be able to do any effective engraving work. And I'm very happy with his progress. There is also another young man that I did not recruit from this program. He's been with me for a while. His interest is in photography. He enjoys doing a lot of those. He was working for me just as a laborer. I saw where his passion was, What I did was I invested a little studio in-house for him to work and develop his skills to produce images that we can put on our website. Now, I mean, he can go out and look for a job and tell somebody that is a commercial photographer, and he will not be lying because of the quality of the work. If you look at our website, which is crystalhouse.us, we not only engravers, but we also dealers for most of the major crystal brands. So we can sell those brands. There will be no difference between you going to crystalhouse.us and buying, say, a Waterford product or a Nambe product, or going to Macy and buying the same product. So we have a very huge, robust website, and that requires people to maintain those sites, to maintain the back end. So somebody coming within our organization, I can say Crystal House is a very unique business that programs like the ones that you guys run should invest in or must invest in. When you're analyzing what companies present, I think it will be a good idea if representatives from your organization actually come to the business like Chris did and run and see what they do to make the decision. I still face a lot of the challenge for human capital for lots of reasons. We moved as a result of our expansion. We moved to our new location, like I said, December 6th. That's when we had our ribbon cutting of 2019. It comes to March, everything was shut down. We're about to reopen September 1st per the governor's orders. During the riots of the race riots of May 31st, our shop was vandalized, was one of the shops vandalized. So it's been very challenging. But fortunately, I have to thank the Lord and our association with the Navy gives us enormous hope to continue. My experience with the workforce, I understand that there are process and procedures that have to be in place, but it does not mean that understanding what the business is offering, certain accommodations have not been made. As a small business, the reimbursement program that is in place with the workforce is a limiting factor in the growth of the program. I'm talking about myself. I don't know about others. The young man that I brought in, we are required. I had to keep him for 90 days before I even submit my records of his activities to get reimbursed. It takes another month to be reimbursed for that section. That is 4 months. Not many small businesses can support salaries for that period of time, especially if they need multiple apprentices or potential employees. The second phase, this young man has completed his program with the workforce. The second phase of the reimbursement still hasn't arrived. I'm still waiting. Things like that, if the board can look at ways of supporting small businesses in these programs, you will get a lot more benefit. Well, that's all. If you have any questions.
Any questions? I do encourage people to go online and take a look at his work. And the other great part about it, I'm gonna bring it up while I was there, was I also was the jewelry that is handmade and the paintings which is done by his wife is outstanding, and they're all canvases paintings. So it's a very well priceless establishment. Any questions for?
I would just like to commend you. You set up business in one of the most challenging times in recent history. And not only coming in during a time of economic crisis, but then to be hit as you're establishing the business. And because of your work, you've been able to get the attention of the Navy, which is an amazing accomplishment unto itself. But to have the tenacity and the courage after you just opened up your store to survive a riot, and the impact and the emotional impact, because I understood, I think I spoke with your wife during this time, to have your being at home and getting a phone call from a neighbor saying, yeah, you ought to get back to your store.
Yeah.
Something was happening down there. And the horror that you must have felt going into the store and seeing what happened. So thank you for just the courage to continue, for continuing to commit to Kane County and to Aurora. And I think we can take a look at what this payable is with the workforce development. And there may be some regulations, federal regulations that may address this, but it's certainly something to consider and to address. And we'll do everything we can. And then we'll send you a report back, follow up with you of what we can and cannot do to ensure that you get your money perhaps a little faster.
I appreciate that. It's not only about this money, like as maybe I didn't express myself very well. It's not, this program, I need a lot of human support, human capital, people who can move into jobs within my organization. I was fortunate to be approved by the Kane County Workforce Development. But looking at the structure of reimbursement, I could not activate the second and the third potential employees that were approved. That is the frustration. That is the frustration there, because I cannot bring in, if I bring in a second person or a third person, I have to be responsible for those salaries of 3 people as the business is trying to grow in these challenging times. My business needs more people who are going to be permanent employees and people who live in Kane County. That is a challenge that I personally face, and I believe a lot of other small businesses who approach your organizations for support face. I can't guarantee much, but I can say I can guarantee that.
Good morning. This is Scott Berger. Mr. Ford, may I speak? Yes, I'm still on your call. I just want to reassure you and the committee and the county board chairman that our office has been working with this business for some time. And we have literally completed forms and paperwork on their behalf to aid them in receiving federal funding, not county funding, but federal funding to assist them with their job retention and onboarding of staff. So we stand ready to continue to work with Crystal House and any other business that is participating in our program. That's a service we provide free of charge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We thank you. Any other questions? All right, we thank you. All right, we're gonna move on. And we'll go ahead, Chris.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you again, Elias. We really appreciate your time. I'm really excited to introduce my next guest because we have a lot of great guests today. Dave Boulay, the president of IMEC, the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center here in Illinois. I'm really happy to have him here. He's never come to our jobs committee before, but IMEC has been a great partner for the jobs committee since my time in 2015. We've had various representatives come and join us. So he's going to speak today a little bit about what IMEC does and our partnership.
I'd like to welcome you, Mr. Boulay.
Good morning, co-chairman and committee members. Pleasure to be here this morning. David Boulay, president of IMEC, the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center. We're headquartered in Peoria, Illinois at Bradley University. I'm going to talk a little bit about us, but it's a pleasure to be here today. And really what I want to talk about this morning, I think it complements the story that we just heard about what our manufacturers in Kane County talking about. We have a great manufacturing tradition in this county. Approximately 650 manufacturers. When you start to look at those manufacturers, about 99% of them are identified, defined as small and mid-sized manufacturers. In fact, 70% of them are less than 20 employees. So the story that we just heard, I think echoes very much across these 600 plus manufacturers, while they also try to compete globally. And so what I'd like to do is share a little bit about what we're learning on their priorities and needs in the pandemic. And I'm going to do that by just a brief background about who IMEC is, a little bit about the survey, and just a brief on the results of that survey, and then certainly some times for any questions. So IMEC, the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center, we are part of U.S. Department of Commerce program. This program is called Manufacturing Extension Partnership, or MEP for short. So we're part of a national network found in every state and Puerto Rico with the sole purpose of waking up every day to help our manufacturing base be more globally competitive. We serve the state, as you can see in the slide, and would do this through just a tremendous amount of tremendously talented staff, a tremendous amount of partners, and we're a part of here nearby Northern Illinois University, University of Illinois at Chicago. I mentioned Bradley University and Southern Illinois University. And our job is as much to provide the technical assistance and resources to help the manufacturers keep getting better and improving their global position. As Chris noted, Chris and Mark have been exceptional to work with over the years and have been very diligent to put us to work in this county. And we do appreciate that in helping provide the support that we can to the manufacturing base. Slide came out a little wonky there, but we'll work through it. When the pandemic began, we asked ourselves, and we wanted to ask manufacturers, what are the priority needs? What are they facing when it comes to dealing with this global pandemic? You see a table on this slide that shows the 10 drivers. These drivers are based on a nationally recognized framework out of US Commerce. These are kind of business drivers: workforce, supply chain, productivity, leadership, and so on. With this survey, we called every single manufacturer in the state of Illinois. 5-minute phone survey where they would prioritize on a scale of 1 to 3 how urgent is this need or this topic. Urgent, like need to solve it right now, something in the next 6 months, something in next year, maybe not at all. And to understand that those priority needs so that we could respond and address with solution sets. Out of those 12,000 plus manufacturers, we have over 2,800 across the state who have completed this survey. And here in Kane County, we have had 101. In fact, I looked this morning, as of September 17th, it's 105 manufacturers in Kane County that have completed this survey. And this is just a snapshot, so a high level, and it gives us some direction. It also brings as many questions as it does answers to what we have here. But what you see are the priority needs of manufacturers. We already heard that top priority right there. 70% of the manufacturers are saying workforce. We just got a great insight into some of those challenges and opportunities as we think about workforce. Growth and supply chain round out the top three. And again, you can get a sense of what's going on with these percentages. Something I like to share when I look at this data, when we look at US manufacturing in total, manufacturing productivity in the United States has actually been on decline since the Great Recession. So productivity, as we know, is about wages. It's about being globally competitive. Our organization, our board, very focused on how do we help support productivity, which is in part upskilling the workforce and in part automation and technology. In fact, it's going to take both of those for us to ensure that our manufacturers remain strong. So when we look at this model and when we look at the priorities here, we know it's about the workforce skills, it's about the productivity and technology and leadership and strategy. I just want to note as a side note, and I'm hopeful that this is just a short-term blip, but supply chain shows up as the third priority. You've probably heard this in the news, things from semiconductors all the way through to inflationary prices on seemingly every product. So as we hopefully we'll see that settle down or tamp down, but what we have learned on this is the importance of resiliency in supply chain and how we respond and how we deal with this for our future, that we can respond to any supply chain disruptions in our future. With that, we wanted to give some high-level guidance, recommendations, things that we're thinking about in our work and may be helpful as you're thinking about support for the manufacturers. And I'm not going to go into a lot of depth here, but the first item here, recognizing that, as I noted, 70% of these manufacturers, less than 20 employees, we have a wide range of manufacturers and wide-ranging needs. And although I can give you the high-level priorities that manufacturers say, each company is a little different. And so when we think about solutions, we need an approach that is flexible enough to address the needs. If a manufacturer right now has a supply chain problem, that's the problem we need to help them with. Workforce problem, leadership, whatever that gap might be, to help find a solution. Market growth, market diversification shows up as a point here that when we look at the exports, the global marketplace, that growth and diversification, something we have learned through the pandemic, are manufacturers that were really focused with one or two key customers probably got hit a little harder than otherwise. They felt more of a bullwhip or a swing in their customer base. So making sure that we have mechanisms to help grow business or help incentivize business. One simple example, we did a matchmaking event this spring with NASA and their primes about the mission to Mars and finding manufacturers here in our region to become part of that mission to Mars and part of that supply chain. Productivity and technology adoption, that third point, I've already talked about that, but really looking at how we upskill and provide the adoption of technologies. And then just a couple more points here. I think the next one, again, has really been touched on is the continual interconnection between the workforce solutions that are available. There's great resources in this county for workforce solutions with the needs like we just heard and we hear regularly. And then finally, we look at this needs assessment as a snapshot. It's a point in time. It's giving us insights on where to focus energies. However, it's only the beginning of the ongoing dialogue and conversation. And any time that we can be supportive, and Chris and Mark, certainly we talk frequently, anything we can do to help bring insights and data to your understanding of the needs of manufacturers, we're here to help and support that. With that, I will open up to any questions or any points that I can clarify, and happy to provide additional information following if appropriate. Thank you.
I have a question. What do you have established where you, I've seen some of your data and it's pretty good. So what do you have in place that allows you to collect so much data?
Yeah, so a lot of partnerships. So being part of US Commerce, it does make us be bigger than what we are as an organization. So we have many resources that we can turn to. So as an organization, we're about 50 employees. However, we have the 4 universities, we have US Commerce, we're part of that national network, which is about 1,500 people. And then we have so many other partners that we turn to. So specifically related to your question about how did we call all these companies, was we used to call telephone call service to help us really just get it done, because we really, to call 12,500 manufacturers, we needed to invest the resources to do it right and to do it and to share this information and data with you and to help with the decisions.
Thank you. You knew I had a question. You could see it in my face. So the work that you did with NASA, were there any companies locally, regionally, that were able to obtain a contract with NASA? Yes?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
It's looking positive. So this just happened in April, May, and you can imagine it's a long time period. But what was exciting about that project was the primes like SpaceX and Boeing, that are working closely with NASA. They came to present and say, here's the vision, here's the future, here's the potential. And then we followed in with, well, here's the requirements. And with requirements in cybersecurity, certifications, and so on, so that the manufacturers understood, if you're going to participate in a supply chain like this, these are the things you're going to need to do. And then we did basically dating, matchmaking based on the needs. And approximately 65 manufacturers got to the dating stage from this region. And of those, we do know of about a dozen that are in deeper conversations. There are no contracts signed, but it's looking, I don't want to jinx it, but it's looking promising.
Hopeful, very good. And then if those contracts are accepted and signed, will that workforce then be expanded to serve that part of that manufacturing plan, that product that they'll be putting together? And if so, then workforce development is going to have to get up to speed and training. I mean, it's going to.
Yeah, if I may, and even just expand that thought, I think you're spot on as far as these new types of supply chains, right? Who would have thought that manufacturers would be doing mission to Mars supply chains?
I want to go.
And then we can add on to that electric vehicles. We can add on other types of new supply chains that are coming. These are different engines. These are different parts. These are new opportunities. When we think about these new opportunities that are coming for manufacturing, you're absolutely right. It's going to require skilling, reskilling, new skills that we probably don't even know what exactly they are yet. And so I think as we can continue to prepare and pulsing this kind of insight and data, we're going to need to keep learning and really working together. I think so much of it becomes a bit of the boots on the ground approach to really understand what is the specific need for this part that's going to be on the NASA mission, and then what are the skills, and making sure that we have that teased out.
Very good, very good. It has not been approved yet by the board, but we do have initial plans which will be complementing this committee as well as the other committees for an economic development council here in Kane County, where we're going to be reaching out to you and manufacturers and yourself to take a look at what this county needs to be able to develop not just a robust workforce, which I know everyone needs, and here in the county we need it as well, but where we can go forward to make those plans, those succinct plans, to make sure that manufacturing is successful here.
That's great.
I do have another question. So here in Kane County, we get excited about our fiber that we have that runs from north to south and somewhat east to west. And then there's fiber throughout Aurora that we tie into, that Aurora has done. And I believe there's some in Elgin the same. So how much of these manufacturers who looks for opportunities like you're talking about need access to, and I know the president had talked about broadband and really pushing the broadband. So how much of these manufacturers now are looking for access to broadband either and or fiber access?
Essential. It is so vital for a couple of reasons. One, they're globally connected and they need to be globally connected without disruption, right? And then the other part of this, and it gets back into this productivity when we look at automation, is the data collection and the data activities that are going on inside the plant. So it's now putting sensors on the machines inside the plant and collecting that data, analyzing that data, and all of that, is tied to the cloud anymore, and so much that's going on. The broadband is essential to manufacturers. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we'll continue to try to work and push that atmosphere. if there anything that you can get us information on so that we know what direction we need to go in and how to get the awareness of what the need is and how we can try to address those needs for that. We really want to try to be ahead of the game if that's anywhere near possible.
And if I may,
That-
thank you for bringing up the issue of broadband. We have a data storage facility that's expandable in West Chicago that certainly we can allow capacity. So if that's of interest, perhaps you can contact Chris and we can connect you with the right department head here for any of your manufacturers. But we have great opportunity to expand that.
Great, fantastic. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Chris.
I don't have a question as much as a comment. I did mention in my opening, but I just want to take this time to thank Dave. The staff that he has working for him, both present and past, have been amazing partners for our county. Prior to the pandemic, we were doing a series of small business seminars, and IMEC put on a couple that were very successful. I remember one, especially being the 80-20 principle, which I'm a big fan of, which is 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers, and those who you should focus on. And that was a big learning experience for me. But also just to, again, reiterate how important it is that we have these partnerships, because IMEX data is one of the very few sources we have for local manufacturing data. We have other partnerships like the VIA, but no one does it best like IMEX. So we're just really appreciative of you, your partnership and your time. So thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you likewise, and appreciate the comment about the 80-20, and it's no surprise why he's putting us to work, because he really understands the work we're doing. So he's been very diligent. We appreciate the partnership, and anything we can do going forward, we want to do that.
So I'll be spending the rest of my day off and on trying to figure out how you do all this with 15 employees, you said?
50.
50, okay, that sounds okay. Yes, that's some relief, yeah. Thank you
Thank you very
for
much.
that correction.
Thanks for clarifying that, Ron. I wondered the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
All right, thank you. We really appreciate you guys being here. All right, moving on. Seeing, is there any update with the, I know you kind of mentioned it before about the county's economic development initiatives?
Yep, I have a couple of slides I wanted to share with you briefly.
Okay.
I'll just wait for a second. Yeah, we have been discussing some of our programs that we would like to expand potentially using the ARP funds. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the programs that we have done in the past as part of the Jobs Committee in terms of our matching grants program through Metro Chicago Exports. Blair, the screen is showing the cameras still. That's all right. Right on. Thank you very much. So just a brief history. In May 2015, MCE, Metro Chicago Exports, announced the launch of a grant program to help small, mid-sized businesses grow in international trade, specifically through exports. That was part of the regional initiatives. With support through JP Morgan and Chase, the program awarded grants of up to 5,000 businesses throughout Northeastern Illinois that were looking to expand their exports. This innovative and successful grant program was available in 2015 to 2020. We created through the Jobs Committee, the Kane County Matching Grants Program, which was our cooperative program to incentivize Kane County businesses to apply. What we did was we piggyed off the MCE export grant, so that way that the funneling of all of the applications for a grant would still go to a single administrator, which was MCE. And I'm always proud to tell you that Kane County had the second highest number of grants given away outside of the city of Chicago. We utilized the success of this model to bring other regional programs to Kane County, like the IMEC Manufacturing Innovation Voucher. And what I did yesterday was I sent everyone a packet of something I created in early 2020, which was our manufacturing support packet. And that was just a list of the programs we were doing at the time to support manufacturing. So the matching grants programs in there, the IMEC Manufacturing Innovation Voucher programs in there. We had something about KEEP and something about Export Tech Unfortunately, Export Tech and the Export Grant Program are no longer active due to the regional initiative shutting down. But we continue to utilize that model, and we will continue to utilize it because it has been very successful for us in the past. In terms of how many grants we awarded through the Kane County Matching Grants Program, we gave 26 grants for over about $130,000 over the 5-year period to 16 different companies, which I'll share in the next slide. Due to what happened in 2020, we actually did not do any grants that year as the program became defunct during the pandemic. So here's a list of the companies that were awarded the grants throughout the program years. As you can see, different sizes, different products all over the county. One company that we worked with that won the award every year, In-Flight Entertainment Products in Carpentersville, through the support of this program, was allowed to launch a product line of high-intensity, long-life LEDs for planes that had a 50,000-hour lifespan. They accredited their work with us as part of their development of that product. We allowed them to work with overseas companies for sourcing, but also to export that product. And one of the things that I love to do, and it was part of our programs, is I visited every single one of these manufacturers and got to see what they're doing and see what's being made in this county. Our manufacturers are resilient, our manufacturers are innovative, but they also love Kane County as their home. And this program was a great way to support them. And as you can see, we had plenty of companies that were very happy with the program enough to apply for multiple years. This was a snapshot that was taken in 2017, and it just shows the relative amount of awards that we won compared to other counties in the region. DuPage had more total after us, but we had more jobs created. And of course, our county had the most. But one of the things that Metro Chicago Exports was always a priority partner with us, and they considered us a priority partner because we put skin in the game and we were willing to match the money. And that's what led to a lot of our companies applying, because they found that $10,000 is a lot more incentive for the time to put into this program than $5,000. So what I wanted to talk very briefly today was about our proposed program that we are putting together for the ARP funds, which is the Kane County Manufacturing Recovery and Sustainability Fund. It's a program that is designed to assist manufacturers in recovery and resilience using ARP funds. We're planning to propose this in partnership with IMEC, with Dave, and it's a similar program to our Manufacturing Innovation Voucher Program. The program is designed to help small, mid-sized manufacturers in Kane County who receive IMEC assessments. The grants will cover the cost for manufacturers associated with improvements, upgrades, and processes recommended by IMEC from their assessments. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, because I don't want to, but what IMEC does is generally when they work with someone, they provide different levels of assessment for businesses and given the size and needs. And from those assessments, they have proposed outcomes or initiatives that could benefit these companies. And what we would like to do is, after those assessments are completed, work with those companies and finding ways to help fund the technology, the staff, whatever they need to get these improvements done to improve their business. And we want to structure in a way for Kane County to leverage and support the expertise of IMETS in vetting the applicants. And while it does sound like we are having them do all the heavy lifting, it's because we are. We would like to make sure that when we do these kind of programs, we've always found the success of the experts working with the businesses and our manufacturers who know and go through processes that are proven to help them get what they need. We would like to support that by helping use these funds to support our manufacturers. And then the staff will be requesting $1 million for the program for the ARP funding period. It's ambitious, but we have a track record of programs in the past that help manufacturers. I have been doing this now for 6 years. I take personally my love of assisting the manufacturers. And I just wanted to put this out there, looking for support, because we will be putting this together through the application process that the portal closes, I think, next week. So with that, I will leave it for questions.
As a manufacturer, we love you too.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
All right, go ahead.
Well, how many jobs are we looking at potentially supporting? Because if we want transformational programs
Mhm.
that will be happening with the ARP funds as best as possible.
Yep.
So if that is funded and matched, will you have data in the application about potential economic growth that will happen in Kane County because of that? Homes, et cetera.
So potential, yes. I can speak to our previous program. So that $130,000 investment in the matching funds over the 5 years for that. Before 2019, the hard data was that 115 prior created 40 jobs. So if we can extrapolate from that, we could be looking to saving up potentially 400 jobs, but that's not the final number. But we're looking at this program to help create or save 100 to 200 jobs at minimum. It really depends on the processes that IMEC and everything suggests, but that is the end goal of it. And that's why the Metro Chicago Grants Expo program was so successful for us, because we had data that we use this program and it created jobs for Kane County businesses.
And just as follow up on that, I know that President Preckwinkle is very interested in manufacturing for Cook County.
Mhm.
And that through CMAP, that is one of her great initiatives. And also here, and we have an opportunity to really, with working with this potential Economic Development Council and your existing programs, to really hone in on what would be best manufacturing areas to support here in Kane County. To dive down further into that, out of those potential 120 jobs or whatever jobs are forecasted, what is the salary range? Because that's why Tony Preckwinkle would like to encourage manufacturing, because these could be technical jobs that have an income that could support a family.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back of our old data for the jobs, but these are not minimum wage jobs. I'm thinking at least bottom of the jobs are about $50,000 a year jobs were the jobs that we created previously through the programs. They were all full-time positions, either to expand manufacturing or to create new positions for international trade. A couple of the jobs that we created, I knew were a high 5-figure jobs because they were part of companies who had to create offices overseas and hire staff to work as part of the trade in other countries. So yeah, I don't want to give you a number off just out of nowhere, but we're looking at about 50 to 60,000 minimum for these jobs, because these are manufacturing full-time position with benefits that that people can expect to grow as they go. And to speak to what you said about Ms. Preckwinkle, and she was a big driver of what we did in the initial round of the Chicago Regional Growth Initiatives. And a lot of what we started today came from that 7-county and City of Chicago collaboration. That's where Metro Chicago Exports started, but that's also where we started focusing a lot more on manufacturing. And as we continue to keep an eye out, I do work a lot with CMAP, but just keep an eye out as more regionalism comes into play, because we would like to still be a part of it. I know we're on the far edges of the Chicago region, but it was really beneficial for us because a lot of my counterparts in the city and Cook did not know what we were doing out here in Kane County. And it was really impressive as we went to events that we were the one county that actually stepped up for a lot of programs initiated in the city, saying we support it so much, we're going to put our own money in the game. And that model was shared nationally. So we were really proud of that.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
This is Chris Caius. So as the time goes on and the application, you formulate what you're doing. You see this, the funding be ongoing for the 4 years or so that the ARP, about $250 a year or something like that?
Yeah.
Help get it up and then keep it moving?
Yeah, that's our initial goal, is to do it over the 4 years, about 250,000 a year. One thing I've learned in doing these grants and it's interesting, I'm one of the few people who is and staff who gets to be the person working with the grantees rather than applying for them. And the amount of time and staff work that it takes, especially with IMEC, for their staff to do the assessments, to get the data, to vet everything properly, to make sure everything's signed, everything's above water. It's a very time intensive process. So to spread it out means that while it will limit the pool a little bit of who we can work with, that means over time we can get different companies and different businesses into that program and support them in a way that's not overwhelming to us. So and then hopefully if after that 4 years, there's an appetite, an economic development organization with the county or other ways we can find support locally to continue to do that sort of work to support local manufacturing.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, anything else you need to bring forward, Chris, or?
Just 11 million Americans are not working as of August 2021, and our unemployment rate for July dipped down a little bit to 5.6%. We're still a little bit above the national 5.2%, but we're looking to recover a little bit. I'll continue to monitor the situation, but one of the things I am trying to find more data on is that the unemployment extended benefits have ended. The early states in which they ended it shows that is a non-factor in terms of the growing unemployment problem. I've heard terms from the Great Resignation to the SHE session. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of data, but I do plan on sharing it with the Jobs Committee as it comes forth to see what is going on with why people aren't working. So we're going to continue to explore that.
Okay, that's interesting news.
That's everything.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So I don't, under new business, not a discussion for now, but just something to bring to the table. I'm gonna try my best to explain this. So I'm gonna call them feeders. And what I mean by feeders is where we look to get employees from to start going into programs. And I know one of them is the high school. I know another one is through colleges, and another one is to people who apply for unemployment. So I've had this discussion with Mr. 8Ball about how we may need to take a look at our non-for-profits on how they are grooming not someone as adult programs, but a lot of them are youth programs, that there is a way to assist them to have these individuals be brought into or look at to either be brought into the workforce or advance inside the workforce. So that's a discussion that we've had started talking about, how to create an atmosphere for them to work in. I don't know if you want to call it a one-stop shop, but some type of atmosphere for them to get information and support from, so that we can kind of guide them towards that atmosphere. Any comments, 8Ball? If he's still there.
No, I think you said it very well. I think we need to keep working on it. At one time, long time ago, I tried to open an organization called Martin Luther King Foundation or Home, and it was shut down. My goal was to bring in, to have this house, to have this opportunity where anybody, any youth who needs work or training would come here, and we would provide some resource to them. I think it's that kind of a thing probably you are alluding to, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a nice goal.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else? Or, well, just keep that thought in mind for us to work on and find a way to put that together.
Ron Davis with a thought.
Oh, go ahead.
You were just referring to in there, the need to kind of reach into the schools and to the, to younger folks to make them aware, and to reintroduce vocational training and education as being viable and rewarding. As we move forward, can we reach out to the ROE? Can we get if we get Regional Office of Education perhaps to,
Yes.
partner with us and find a way to, have these programs actually be recognized in the schools, maybe even a class. I mean, I remember taking a distributive education class in high school many years ago, and it was
How
geared
many years
towards
ago? I didn't get the number. I'm sorry.
two, three, decades. But it really does need to start with young people and in school. I understand some of these, some kids leave school and it's, you would still like to reach them, but if we can reach them while they're in school and raise the awareness and, point them in the direction of some of these things. So maybe we could reach out to the ROE and get some partnership going there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, moving on. On the discussion for the change of times for our Jobs Committee, I guess the Energy and Environmental had a discussion, and my understanding is they decided that they wanted to stay at their present time, and they are committed to stay within their time frame.
Every effort will be made.
Every effort would be made. They feel that the solar panels was such a bigger project that it took up so much time. So I guess, whoever wants to make comments, more than welcome to. So trying to see how everybody feel about just giving it a few more months before we make any type of decision about it.
The change probably would come with the new calendar anyway, right?
Probably so, yes.
But we went short today, you went long.
No comment.
Absent both committees wanting to make the change, I guess this is what we have for now. Well, fingers crossed.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion and a second to put our reports placed on file?
Davis moves. Iqbal seconds.
All right. Can we make that unanimous decision? So we don't have to have the roll call vote. I think we can do that. All right, sounds good. We have no need for executive session. Can I get a motion and a second for adjournment?
So moved. Iqbal moves.
Have a second.
Have a second. All right, we'd like to thank you and wishing everybody a great weekend.